Hello, good afternoon, ladies. How is everyone on this wonderful Sunday afternoon in late February, Black History Month? My name is Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. Welcome to A Queen's Roundtable Show. This is episode 13, ladies, episode 13. And I have a guest here, and in just a minute, I'm going to allow her to introduce herself. I want to say to those guests out there, this is obviously live. You can definitely join us from either my business page, which is Realizing Your Potential, the numbers 123, or either you can join us from my personal page or the personal page of my guest, Carolyn. And I'm going to make sure that I share it out. So even if you're in my Facebook group, you can still jump in and join us and leave your questions and or comments, okay? So let me just go ahead real quick, guys, and just share it out so everybody can have access, because we definitely want to hear from you guys. So let me share it out. Share. Okay, share. Now, you know what, Carolyn, do you want me to share it out to your group too?
Would you do that for me?
Yep, I sure will, because it gives me the option, so I did that. Now, let me go back, and I'm going to tag you on my personal page. That way, hopefully, everybody can join us. So we're doing that. Carolyn, there you are. Okay. All right. So it's all shared out, everybody. If anyone has any trouble jumping in, leave it in the comments, because I'm going to be monitoring the comments as we go along. Okay. All right. So we are live. We have started. So Miss Carolyn, if you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about how you grew up, where you grew up, and how your business and everything came to be.
Sure. Well, I want to say good afternoon, first of all, to everyone out there in Facebook land, on Jacqueline's page, on my page. And I want to say to you, Jacqueline, thank you so much for having me as a guest. I am so super honored that words cannot even express. So for those of you that may not know, I am Dr. Carolyn Stevens, and I am with the I Am a Black Woman project. We have far surpassed calling it a book, and perhaps a little bit more into the interview, I'll explain why. It's actually, we refer to it as a movement. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. I've been in Atlanta, Georgia, where I am now. I've been in Atlanta for close to 30 years. So, Jacqueline, I am officially not an apple anymore. Right. I am now a peach. Yep. I am a peach, even though in my heart, for all of you Brooklyn gals, I still am an apple in heart. And I grew up, I have 3 other siblings, all girls, no boys, as much as I wish that I had always had a brother. But so I am the third of 4 children, 4 sisters there. Currently, I serve in Georgia. I serve as a clinical therapist and a community family specialist. And I get the opportunity to work primarily with what we call DFACS, which is Department of Family and Children Services. And I know, Jacqueline, you're familiar with that. Probably in other states, you guys call it something else different. But however, I get to contract with Department of Family and Children Services, serve primarily the underserved population. And I work primarily, 98% of my clientele are Black women, which is what brought me to creating the project, I Am a Black Woman. And so in the years of my practice and in working with primarily single Black women, I began to notice that a lot of the diagnoses that my clients have stemmed from some deep-rooted issues that pretty much went across the board in terms of African-American women. And so I began to research and begin to find out that there was definitely a correlation between some of the toxic behaviors that are oftentimes regrettably demonstrated in the African American community as it pertains to Black women. And I felt that a lot of the stories and experiences that these women had, that these stories needed to be told. I felt like these women needed to have a voice, which I believe is very therapeutic in writing and having a voice. I also believe that there needed to be something that would create a level of cohesiveness and unity among Black women so that we could begin to dispel many of the misnomers of that we cannot work together, we can't produce things together, things of that sort. So from just out of my observation of things that I have seen and my work, you know, that's what I Am a Black Woman. That's how that project was birthed.
Okay. Okay, you got a little dog there in the background?
I do. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm not in the office today. And so lots of times when I interview, he wants to be a part of the
right. You know what, just like my son, I have an 8-year-old. Now he'll be coming back from the movies shortly. And he'll be wanting to come in and wave and, you know, all that kind of business. So I totally understand. Well, you know what? I am so excited. I mean, I love doing this show because, you know, like you said, it's a perfect example of us like coming together and being able to support one another. You know, and that's, you know, I'm not going to talk too much, but, you know, Carolyn, you know, you and I became introduced to each other, right, from another project.
Yes.
And that, you know, and I just really felt like a difference in your spirit. You know what I mean? And you know, we've never met, you know, I hope, I know we've talked about, you know, maybe doing some like meeting up face to face when you come to Detroit, because I'm in Michigan, guys. And, you know, and I really look forward to that. And I think that it needs to be more of that, like us coming together, you know, and I've noticed that, I'm gonna be honest, you know, in this online space, I've come across quite a few African-American women that were just down with the collaboration. You know what I mean? And then we get on and we talk, and it's almost like we've known each other. You know what I mean? And everything just flows, you know. And then I've had a couple of experiences, a couple of times I've reached out to people and it hasn't been very favorable, or it's all been one-sided, you know. And I just, you know, so I'm just so excited when I do find people, you know, in the online space that really believe in that whole collaboration piece. Because a lot of people say they believe in it, you know what I mean? But they want to collaborate when they think it benefits them, but they don't really want to try to, you know, help anybody else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm really, really excited about it.
You know, I can concur, and I also want to take this opportunity to say, yes, we met as a result of a project, and I have just always loved your spirit. I've always loved your energy, and I believe that we are kindred spirits. You know, we are truly sisters. And so I'm just so honored by being here in this space, in this time with my sister. I'm also extremely excited about your platform. It is my hope that my presence here today, anything that I can say, will help to propel your platform. And that is the thing I believe, Jacqueline, that we develop our mindset in order to diminish a lot of the toxic behaviors that we often find amongst women of color. It definitely starts with the mind, that we have to truly, am I my sister's keeper? Because when you excel, you see, I excel. It does not take anything away from me. You know, the fact that you have this platform, I now have the ability to be here on this platform. Had you not had it, I would not be here on this platform. So that would say to me that it would just make good old fashioned sense for me to promote you, for me to support your platform, so that more sisters like myself have the opportunity to be able to come and make much more of a presence. I mean, right now we're going possibly internationally. Had you not had this platform, I would not be able to do that. So I have to support you. I have to do that. Yeah.
Right. And and I can already see. I can already see that this is going to be a wonderful conversation. Because well, you know what I want to say too is that I'm born and raised originally in Detroit, right? But I lived in Brooklyn from like 2005 to 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yep, 2005, 2015, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, I just kind of jumped up and moved because a very good friend of mine went to NYU. We went to a middle school, high school together. Then she went to NYU, and I went to Wayne State, which is local here in downtown Detroit. So I went back and forth visiting her, and at first I hated New York. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, oh my God, it's so dirty here. You gotta walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And I hated it. And as I kept going and visiting her, and then I grew as a person. Like I said, because this is from my early 20s, started visiting her there. And I fell in love with the city. And so eventually when I moved there, I really loved it. And I really felt at home there. And that was when I originally started, doing West African dance. Or shall I say, I took it to another level doing the West African dance. And I remember running into a lot of sisters. And I remember thinking that because they were in the community, that they were going to be supportive. You know what I mean? And that we were going to flow together. But I was greeted with quite the opposite. It was still a lot of competition and a lot of, well, who are you and who do you think you are? And just this attitude of if I sing your praises in any way, any form of fashion, that's going to dim my light. Right. And I'm saying this because not to be, I'm trying not to be negative, but at the same time, I think this is real, and I know I've experienced it, whether it be in my African dance community, whether it be at work, whether it be at school, and it just really disheartened me, which is why I initially started doing sister circles, even though I don't necessarily do them now, but that's how my business originally started off. And it was bringing us together. This, this type of platform, but face to face, because I was doing it in a brownstone in Brooklyn, and it was in Bed-Stuy. And
that's
we were
where I'm from.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. See that?
Yes, that's
and I know it's changed so much over the years, right?
Yes,
it's so different from the Bed-Stuy today. I can't even afford it. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject, right? But coming together for us to be able to sit across from one another and encourage and support one another. Because once you start speaking out, you find that you're not alone, right? That there's a lot of other ladies out there that are going through very similar, either going through at the present time or have gone through similar things. And once you start talking, it's like you just open the floodgates, and that's like a whole new support system.
Absolutely. I mean, Jacqueline, I've experienced a lot of that in my own life. I think that, and I believe that we do need to talk about it. There might be some people who would say, well, that's negative and we don't need to discuss it. But as a therapist, I know firsthand that you can't solve problems unless you are willing to disclose some things. You've got to talk about it. You've got to talk about the reality. It's not that we're shedding a negative light on the problem, which kind of brings me back to a dichotomy that seems to be pretty relevant in the Black community. There's not a person on this platform right now, I'm sure, that you've heard this in your house growing up. What goes on in this house stays in this house. Okay, I'm sure that we've got a lot of vernacular in the Black community, things that we use. One of my favorite that came from my mom was, "I brought you here and I can take you out." I mean, she said that on a regular basis, or I'll beat the black off you. And I used to always wonder,
knock you in the next week.
What kind of a beating would that be? But anyway, I digress. But that statement alone that said what goes on in this house stays in this house, has perpetuated as a part of our culture, where we have developed a learned behavior of just not talking about things, just taking our pain and our painful experiences and brushing them under the rug, so to speak, and we're just not going to talk about it, and we're going to leave them there. And if we just leave them there and don't talk about it, then the problem will just somehow, it will fade away. Well, unfortunately, Jacqueline, the problem does not fade away. I mean, you can push it to the side, but it doesn't fade away. And so what happens is we become not only an oppressed people, but we also become a repressed people. Okay, and we become very repressed in how we respond to each other. We become very repressed and ambivalent in how we interact with each other, because we've got all this toxicity within our own individual lives and in our family lives, our community lives. We got all this toxicity all bottled up, all repressed. And so when we begin to start to interact, I believe that there are many sisters who desire to do it, but what happens is that when we actually start to interact, then all of these toxicities that we have embedded in our family system, in our community system, in our cultural system, those things begin to crop up, and it begins to make us a bit ambivalent about being vulnerable, because in order to establish a decent relationship, there has to be a level of vulnerability. Okay, I have to have an openness, if you will. And I know some people might not use the term vulnerable because nobody likes to be vulnerable. But in order to have any kind of good relationship, there has to be a level of intimacy. You can't have intimacy unless you decide that I'm going to have a level of vulnerability. I'm going to allow you as my sister to see a part of me. You're going to allow me to see a part of you. And what we always say with I am a Black woman, I respect your pain. In other words, if I know your story, if I know the pain that you have been through, I am not going to take your pain and use it against you, but I am going to treasure that, sister, because you're my sister. I'm going to honor that. And when you come to me, I'm not going to take advantage of you because of where you've been. I am going to acknowledge where you've been. And because of knowing where you've been, I am going to be so conscious to make sure that I treat you in a manner of respect that you can begin to heal. Because you see, the coming together, this is why the forces that be don't want us to come together. Because when we come together and we create this divine synergy, okay, not only can it bring prosperity, Jacqueline, but it brings healing. And even when we talk about prosperity, prosperity is just another level of healing. It's a financial healing.
Ooh,
so when
like
we come together, okay, that divine synergy, that energy, it brings about a level of healing. So why would the forces that be, the negative forces that be, want us to come together when what I have in me can help you heal, and what you have in you can help me heal? And ultimately, if we heal, then we pass that healing on to the next sisters, and all of a sudden, before you know it, we've got a community of women that are healed, and we are ready to make something powerful and dynamic happen. So this is why we see the ambivalence to coming together. This is why we have the trust issue. This is why we feel like, okay, well, if I come together with her, she's going to take my business away from me. If I come together with her, she's going to steal she's going to steal my idea. See, first of all, those of us who are visionaries, we understand something, Jacqueline, about an idea. Okay, the Creator gives us an idea that may not specifically be for you, but it may be an idea that God is using you as the vessel or the container to hold the idea, that when you divinely come up with a sister, and now you can release that idea. Because, sister, I've been holding this vision, I've been holding this idea, but I knew that it was not for me, but I've been holding it and nurturing it. And now I'm going to release it to you. I've been a surrogate of this idea, and I've been holding it because I was waiting for the time that I got with you so I could release it. Because, sister, this is your idea. I want you to take what God has given me. I have served as a surrogate for this idea, and now I want to give it to you so you can take it and you can run on with it. There's no harm in that. There's no foul in that. There's no damage in that. Hey, that's a beautiful thing. That's what that is.
You know what? This is so powerful. I'm over here having moments after moments. And I want to let you talk. I don't want to, I don't want to
no, it's okay.
I don't want to interrupt, but two things. There's a lot of people that joined us. I want to give a little shout out, if you will. And then I want to make my comment, because this is so important, and I'm just, I'm humbled and everything that people have taken the time from their Sunday to join us. So we got Mary out there. How you doing, Miss Mary? We got Lisa. We got Dr. Sykes. Hey, Dr. Sykes. We got Church Girl Jackson. We got, I said Mary. We got Terry.
Yes.
And so we got two Terrys. We got Terry Coleman and Terry Ann Polk. Thank you.
Those are some of the sisters that are part of the I Am a Black Woman project, and we support each other wherever we go.
Yep, I see that they are showing up. They are here. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to acknowledge everybody, and also too, ladies. At any time, if we start going in and out, or you can't hear us, put it in the comments. Okay. All right. So when you mentioned that piece about the vulnerability, I almost jumped off this couch, right? And you are absolutely right, right? And the thing of it is, it's that people or women, because I know my platform is African American women. Yes. Now it is that, and that is such a therapeutic. And I know we're both LCSWs.
Yeah,
that is such a therapeutic way of looking at it. And I so agree. It's that vulnerability, which is why a lot of times, like when you meet African American women. And tell me if you agree. Now, this is my experience.
Yes.
Initially, they may look at you and they want to kind of keep you at a distance, but it's because they are checking you out and they want to make sure that you are trustworthy, right? Yeah. That they can share something with you and you're not going to use it against them. You're not going to run and tell somebody else their information. And once they begin to trust you, right, you form like a unbreakable bond, right? But a lot of times it may not start out that way. And I think like you said, it's that we walk around with so many secrets. You know what I mean? And I totally agree, because I came up in a family where you don't tell nobody what's going on in this house. You know what I mean? So it's like you're walking around with all of these traumas and all of these unresolved issues that has played a role, right, in your self-esteem and how you view yourself, right? And then you got that coupled with society telling you that you're not good enough, right? Yeah. And especially now, you got to look like this, you got to be this weight, you got to have this, you got to have that. You know what I mean? So it's like we're walking around with all of this on our backs, and it makes it difficult for us to be able to see each other. I mean, really see each other and see each other as an ally. I mean, until proven otherwise. You know what I mean? Typically, I go into things, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's taking some time, but usually I go into things and I see you as an ally, unless you just totally show yourself, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I got to put you in category. But a lot of people, they go in the other way, as you are enemy until proven not. You know what I mean? And I we have to change that. And like you said, it's not that. I mean, this platform is my creation. But the platform itself is for us to be able to come together. You know what I mean? For everybody to shine, for everybody to be able to speak their truth and to be heard. You know what I mean? That's what's most important. It's not about, oh, I don't want anybody to promote on my platform. I mean, you know what I mean? So I really appreciate, you being here. And guys, I know, this platform is to talk about we as African American women entrepreneurs, right? And we all want to increase our impact. We all want to prosper, right? And we want to do it the right way with a sense of integrity. At least I know. I'm going to do it with integrity. in a way that feels good to me. And it matters to me the fact that this platform can really, really transform people's lives. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So,
Yes.
and if I deal specifically, I know I don't think you do, but I deal specifically with African American women that are coaches and or consultants, right? Helping them create unshakable confidence. And the thing of it is, there's a lot of issues that go on, a lot of negative self-talk that stems from all sorts of trauma that impacts us as people, that
Yes.
impacts how we flow in our business, right? So
Yes.
so this platform is to help you heal, help you to help you be able to prosper as a business owner, right? And to be
Absolutely.
able to have a huge impact. So I know you shared, a lot about who you are, how you came to be. Now you said you have no brothers, right?
No, I have no
No,
brothers.
all sisters. Okay.
Yes.
Are your sisters also entrepreneurs too?
No.
Okay.
I
Curious.
have a younger sister, Kay. Um, and she's probably an entrepreneur in her own right, hairstylist. And
Okay.
but my the other two sisters, they're working girls. They
Okay.
are working girls. So I'm somewhat the first of the breed, if you will, to indulge in authorship and business ownership. And so, I will say here on a personal note that both of my parents have transitioned. My dad, he was an entrepreneur from age 14 on up. He just believed that Black people should work for themselves and be independent. And so everything that I do it in his spirit. I do it in his spirit. And so I've got his entrepreneurial spirit in my blood. Yeah.
So share with us, because lady, Miss Carolyn, Dr. Carolyn is gonna go into talking more specifically in a few minutes about her topic. But before we dive into that, because I know that's going to be deep too, I want you to share with us, or whatever obstacles, what would you say has been one of your major obstacles that you have encountered, whether, just in life or in your business, that you don't mind sharing with us today?
Well, sure. So I'll start with me personally,
Okay.
which affected business, because what women sometimes don't often realize is that what happens with you internally, it spills over into your business. It spills over into the way that you do business. It spills over into your mission, your presence, your visibility, what you have. You can mask it for a while if you're very good, but after a while, everybody sort of gets to know that you're an awesome businesswoman, but you've got these emotional issues, you've got these internal issues, because they begin to bleed out and bleed over into your business life. For myself, I've been in leadership a very, very long time. I battled with depression at some point in my life. I battled with suicidal ideation at one point in my life. And I was serving hundreds of people. I'd been on TBN with Bishop Jakes, did radio. I had my own theology school, my own business. I was doing a lot of phenomenal things, and people were so impressed, and they were getting healed. But the only thing, Jacqueline, I found that would happen is everybody was getting healed except for Carolyn. Okay, because I was in operation mode. As women, we know how to put that mask on, and we know how to go, and we know how to make it happen for people, and we know how to make it do what it do. But when we go home, you see, when we go home and we sit on the edge of that bed and we pull off the wigs and the
And the
brassieres
mask.
and the mask, okay, it's those moments that we have where we've served everybody except ourselves. So after a tumultuous divorce, I began to do some introspection about my own life. I began to examine, why was I dealing with depression And I was helping so many people. As a matter of fact, when I came clean and told people that were close to me that I was dealing with depression and suicide ideation, they could not believe it. They were like, well, Dr. Carolyn, you're so fabulous to everybody else. I said, yes, because, I trained my own self how to be in the public, but my own private battles, I was not mastering. And so I decided to go into a haciendas, if you will, and to just work on me. Okay. So that when I came back out, there was a level of authenticity. Because after a while, Jacqueline, if you don't work on your own issues, your own emotional issues, your psychological issues, what will happen? You may go good for a while, but then you begin to come off as unauthentic, to use another term, kind of come off fake, because there's no realness there. And people can pick up on that. People can pick up on whether there's a realness there. If you're telling me to heal, have you healed? If you're telling me to do the work, have you done the work? That comes out after a while. And so I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be living what I was teaching, what I was writing about, what I was talking about. And so I gave myself, that's a gift you have to give yourself. I say this for every woman that's listening. Give yourself the gift of healing. Give that to yourself. Give yourself permission to be okay with yourself. Give yourself permission to say, you know what? I'm going to isolate for a little bit. I'm going to come away from the crowd for a little bit. Give it to yourself. We give gifts, Jacqueline, to our kids, to our spouses, to our community, to our church. We give gifts all day long, but we fail to give ourselves gifts. Give yourself the gift of healing. And so that whatever you're doing in your business, that you also can partake of the fruit of your own labor. You don't want other women to say, hey, Jacqueline, just use it for example, Jacqueline, you have such an awesome platform. My whole life has been transformed because of the Queen's Roundtable. And then when you get along, you say, wow, but I'm not a recipient of my own work.
But you know what? I'm raising my hand like I'm in class. Like I said, I don't want to interrupt you, but why do you think that we do that? Because even myself, I know sometimes I feel guilty, at times about pouring into myself. Why do you think that that's so common with us as African-American women? Or have you experienced that? And
all the time.
Okay, so why do you
all the time? Well, with guilt is built into our cultural fabric. Just one of the things, along with shame and other things. But guilt is built into our cultural fabric because we were taught that we were less than human beings. We were treated as though we were less than human beings. And so when we now begin to accept ourselves as full, whole human beings, we don't know how to treat that person. We had not been disciplined on how to treat this person. Let's talk about Black women for a minute. I mean, Black women are just phenomenal. I could spend hours talking about how phenomenal that we are, but we are nurturers. We took care of our children. We took care of their children and everybody else's children. We took care of that man, even though we knew he wasn't, doing the right thing, but we took care of him also. Okay. We made things happen. And so that becomes a learned behavior. I'm a Black woman and I got to make things happen. I'm a Black woman and I got to take care of everybody. I'm a Black woman. I got to make things happen for everybody. And so we begin to keep doing that and doing that and do that until we become psychologically programmed to believe, we honestly believe that we need to take care of everybody except for ourselves. So there is a great level of guilt that comes in when you begin to want to give yourself the gift of healing, when you want to begin to self-care. So here's what I tell women, Jacqueline. All the people that you have to take care of, all the things that you have to do, they all hinge on how well you are.
Yes.
If you're not well, then your family suffers. Your mate suffers. your community suffers, your business suffers. So guess what? Because you are the visionary, you are the wheel that makes all that turn. So every now and then the wheel needs to go into the shop for an alignment.
Right.
Okay. You got to take care of you so you can take care of everything, everybody else and everything else. And, you know, just get rid of that guilt, because there is no guilt. It is a smart business move.
A smart business move.
That's a smart business move. Take care of yourself.
You know what, too? Don't you find that in your clinical practice that is the root of why so many, like you said, we can do it. I mean, we juggle a lot of hats and don't miss a beat, right? But don't you think that that's why we suffer from a lot of depression and anxiety as well?
Absolutely. That was why I suffered with depression, because I wasn't seeing about myself. I wasn't in tune with myself. I told myself, society told me that in order to be successful, that I could not afford to be a woman. I had to be a machine. Let that sink in. I was told, society told me, that in order to be successful, I didn't need enough sleep. I didn't need to eat right. I had to be a typical type A personality. I had to keep going, and I had to be a machine. So here's the thing, Jacqueline. When you are a machine, as opposed to being a human being, machines have no empathy. Machines have no compassion. Machines have no feelings. So when we are interacting with other sisters who have told themselves not to be a human being, but to be a machine, that's the reason why we see a lack of compassion. We see a lack of empathy. We see the lack of caring, because I am about my business. My business comes first. I am a machine. I am driven. And so that is the person that you're seeing. You're not seeing the human being. You're seeing the machine. But we are not divinely created to be machines. We are human beings, not machines.
Right. Now listen, I'm just taking a minute to digest everything, but I totally agree. So we talked about your challenge, and we talked about your challenge, but tell us a little more. I mean, specifically, because I don't know if you did or not, but about how you overcame it, and then tell us a little bit about, we touched a lot about self-care, taking care of yourself. We didn't say self-care, but that's what we're talking about, taking care of yourself, putting yourself first and not feeling guilty about it. How do you, so those two things, how did you overcome it, and how do you make sure that you practice regular self-care?
So the first thing is that I had to recognize it. It's in my practice, the hardest thing, the most challenging thing to get a client to do is to identify and recognize that you got a problem.
Right. Yep.
Acknowledge it. And it's even harder for women that are in business, especially when you're seeing that you have so many great successes. Yep. So obviously I don't have a problem. Other people must have a problem. Okay. But even as a businesswoman, your business is not the totality of your life. Okay. So you've got to begin to kind of create a life's wheel. Okay. I'm successful in business. I'm making plenty of money. I've got contracts. I've got this and that. But how you doing in your family? How are you doing in your relationships? Which is where I'll target with myself, because I was successful as a leader. I was successful at pastoring. I was successful as a public speaker, but I had a great deficiency when it came to relationships. Okay. All of my relationships seemed to fail. I wasn't doing good in the relationship portion. And I told myself, well, you're successful over here. You're successful over here. People love you over here. So it's got to be the dude. It's got to be him. It's something wrong with him. But after you have 1, 2, 3 failed relationships, you got to sit down with yourself and say, there's got to be something else going on here. There's an underlying dynamic of something that's going on why I can't maintain good relationships. There's got to be something going on with me. So for me, it started at making a really true assessment, which Jacqueline is so important that we have women in our lives that we can really talk to, and women that can be objective with you and be truthful with you and say, hey, sister, you know what? I've been noticing that you've been, off kilter a bit. I've been, and being vulnerable to those people enough. And so I had those kinds of people in my life that, though they celebrated my successes, they were in awe of me. But I had a few women that pulled me to the side and said, hey, I'm not talking to Dr. Carolyn. I want to talk to Carolyn. And they said, look, I'm seeing that there's some things going on with you. Now, was I always a welcoming of that? No, I wasn't always welcoming of that. But I began to just do some self-identifying. I looked at my life as a whole, not just what I was doing in my work, but I looked at my family. I looked at myself. And I became very dissatisfied with myself as a woman. I wasn't experiencing the joy of love. I wasn't experiencing the joy of romance that I saw other women having. And I became very concerned as I began to grow older, why I did not have these things in my life. And so I did some self-introspection. I put some things off. I stopped doing some things. I created some boundaries in my life when it came to certain people, certain places, certain things. I canceled some projects. I decided not to do certain things. And I really took out time for myself and begin to practice self-care in terms of not just taking a warm hot bath, which is a great thing, but I took out time to do self-care in terms of my psychological and divine being able to go for a long walk, being able to talk to myself, being able to be in the company of the people, not that the people I had to be, but the people that I wanted to be with. Honestly, there's some people that we just have to be with, and we tolerate that. And we have more of those people oftentimes than we do people we want to be with. And that's what creates an imbalance.
Yes.
Constantly around people that you just got to tolerate. Where's the joy? So I began to connect with the people that made me happy, the people that celebrated me, the people that loved me, and all that love surrounding me, it just helped. And so how I continue that practice of self-care, for one, I surround myself with people who genuinely love me. I surround myself with people that I don't always have to be on stage. I don't always have to perform. I have sisters in my life that I can just be. I can just call on the phone, and I don't have to be Dr. Carolyn. I can be Carolyn. I think about, all of these women that are on this platform, I'm able to do that with. I think about my late night talks with Mary. I think about my candid conversations that I have with Church Girl Jackson. I think about even when I'm wrestling with business, how I can be vulnerable with Terry, and I can just tell her where I feel weak at in my business, and she doesn't use it against me, but she says, "Hey, we're gonna, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do." I think about my talks with Elder Lisa and how she'll say, "Well, can I give you some advice?" So I have people in my life right now that I can just be me when I need to be me. And here's the beauty of it, Jacqueline, which I think this is where the ambivalence comes in with us as Black women in dealing with it. Here's the fear, if we really admit it, sisters. I'm afraid to tell Jacqueline where I'm weak, because then she won't respect me as a business person. I'm afraid to do that, because if I tell her where I'm weak, if I tell her where I'm struggling, then she won't respect me as Dr. Carolyn. And
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? That's the fear. I'm afraid that I'm going to give up something and I'll lose the respect. But here's the thing. When I'm your sister, you see, when I'm your sister, I'm not talking about your friend, your colleague, but when I'm your sister, I can accept your weaknesses. In other words, I can accept you in your humanity, and I also respect you in your divinity. Because you tell me you're having a struggle, that doesn't take away from who you are as a businesswoman, as a leader, and mature people, evolved women. We understand that. We don't have a problem with that. We don't feel like, oh, she told me she was having a struggle, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to use it against her, to demean her and feel like she's not the businesswoman that she is. I don't care how phenomenal or how fantastic of a businesswoman you are. At the end of the day, Jacqueline, we are women. We are women. We are human. We are biological. We are psychological. We have breakdowns. We have meltdowns. We have problems. We have challenges. We have issues. We have all of that, no matter how dynamic you are. And guess what I want to say to you, sisters? It's okay. It is okay to have that, because you are not a machine. You are a human being, and it is okay. And so I surround myself with women that I can just be.
And you know what I just kind of want to piggyback off of what you said. I think you're right. I totally agree in terms of we are so successful. You know what I mean? And we think that, we got our PhD, we got our degree. Like you said, we're wonderful leaders, right? But it's this whole thing that we feel like we have to have everything together. You know what I mean? Like we can't have moments of self-doubt, or moments where we just kind of break down and cry. You know what I mean? And the thing of it is, and it doesn't mean that, it just means that you're human. Everybody's strength, you might have a strength in this area, but you need to develop this area. And if that's normal and if that's human, and we need to embrace that, because if we're always constantly walking around and like I said, I think a lot of times we got everything down packed. We wearing, we changing our hats and we're juggling everything, right? And we are juggling everything, and we're doing an excellent job at it, but when it comes to the piece of, I need help, I need some help, or I just need somebody to talk to, and that we shouldn't have to feel that we have to have everything together, you know what I mean? And I just think that it's kind of sometimes it becomes a vicious cycle, and especially in this online space. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I know people are constantly posting, oh, I just signed, I signed my first client, not my first client, but I just closed another deal with the client that's going to pay me another $5,000, deal that I just signed. And, I just booked this radio show and that radio show. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I think it's constant, snapshots of everybody got it together. Everybody is doing this, they doing that, and nobody has any sort of pitfalls or any sort of disappointments, or you know what I mean? And that's not the reality, and
it's not authentic.
It's not authentic. And I totally agree. No. Everybody has times where they doubt themselves, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're any less of an expert, or it doesn't take away from your ability to run that business and do what you've been doing and continue to do it. You know what I mean? We're all human. And like you said, if we're able to be more vulnerable, right, and be able to come together, because I know I've met a lot of, I say a handful of women online that I've never even met that are so supportive. I can message them at 1:00 in the morning, for some support, and that if you don't have that, get it. You know what
and
I mean?
That is the greatest component to women healing is the support system. When I am doing a psychosocial assessment for a client, that is one of the main questions that I ask them. Tell me what your support system looks like. And I can tell you, Jacqueline, that if they tell me I have no support system, you're going to see that's going to be a person that has a plethora of problems, because they have no support system. They have no one that can take them to the store. They have no one that could stand with them in the hospital. They have no one that they can talk to. They have no one that could look over their resume. They have no one to throw ideas off of. For women, we need more support, and we need support from each other. And I am a Black woman. We are endeavoring to build an authentic support system. Support does not always have to come in the form of a tangible thing like money, but support can be, sister, I'm there. You know, that's probably the biggest thing, is being available. There is no worse feeling than going through a crisis and your sister is not available. On a political level, though, let me say this to Black women. When we do not show up for each other, this has nothing to do with whether I like your hair, whether I like your makeup, but politically, when we do not show up for each other, it sends a message to other cultures. It sends a message to white supremacists that we are not standing for each other. One dynamic that we see that is very prevalent, which is why the European community is as strong, because whether they like each other, whether they hate each other, you're never gonna know it, because they're gonna stand for each other, because they want to preserve the culture. And this is the thing that I would love to see more of in the Black community. It's not an individual thing, whether you like me, you don't like me. Let us preserve our culture. There are certain things that we should not want to see happen, because it reflects us all. When I, as a public speaker, as an author, when I go out into the world to present, I am not just presenting for Carolyn. I am presenting for all Black women. So we need to support each other just on that basis, so that our visibility as a culture, that it can be demonstrated as a culture that is strong, that we stick together. Let me tell you something that other cultures, I was speaking with Terry Coleman, who's an awesome businesswoman, one of our co-authors, and she interacts with a lot of people that are Jewish and Asian. And one of the things that they think they know anyway about our culture, they know that we're not going to stick together. They know this. They know this. They know that, you know, she told me once, not too long ago, why don't you people stick together? Okay. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, when we do business in our circle. When we want something, we go in our circle and we get it. We don't go outside our circle. Our culture is the only culture that goes outside of our circle to get what we need. That message, you know what that message says, Jacqueline? That message says that my community is weak. Therefore, I have to go outside my community to get what I need. It also sends a message that I'm dependent on you to continuously feed me, because we don't have the capability of housing in all the things that we need. I say that we need to break that image that people have of us as a culture. And Black women, I'm talking to you in specific. Now, Black women know that years ago, we took care of each other. We fed each other. And listen, there was no such thing as foster care in the Black community. If a child didn't have a home to live in, grandma took them in, auntie took them in. Some woman in that community said, baby, come on, you gonna live here in this house. I might got about 5 kids and 2 beds, but we did not do that. We always took care of each other. There was no welfare, Jacqueline. There was no food stamps. We took care of each other. Coming from Brooklyn, if somebody didn't have their rent money, we had a rent party and you got your rent paid, because we as a community, we did not want other people to see that we did not take care of each other. And that, I believe, needs to be our message, even as business people, that we have everything that we need right within ourselves.
I want to say, again, I'm trying to hold on to it because I didn't want to interrupt you. But okay, so it was a couple of things. One, I wanted to say, and this is not necessarily in this order, y'all, but we need to be concerned too about the example that we set for young women, right? Yes. Other young women coming up. I mean, what do they think? They just following in our footsteps if they see that we don't support one another. You know what I mean? I mean, so you have to look at that in terms of like when you're a business owner, and as a woman, you have to look at teaching your children or your children watching you as you run your business.
Yes.
That whole sense of entrepreneurship and doing for yourself, right? And then seeing how you interact. The young girls and the young boys are watching us how you interact with other Black people, with other women. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, when we talk about leaving a legacy, which we talk about that a lot, and I think that when we talk about, as Black people, when we talk about leaving a legacy, we're only referring to money, Jacqueline. Leaving a legacy goes far beyond just money. We've got to leave a legacy of community. We've got to leave a legacy of unity. We've got to leave a legacy of integrity. Where a young person, when they grow up and they begin to have their own business, they say, I run my business this way because my mama taught me as a business owner that I have to have integrity. So yes, it is important as Black women, as seasoned, I would say, Black women, that we begin to represent ourselves in such a light of excellence, not only in business, but in our lives, in the way that we do things, so that we are leaving a legacy for the other young women that would come, that other young women would begin to see that as Black women, we need to work together.
Right, and to see the power. Oh, I thought that was feedback. That's your dog, right?
No,
that's my feedback. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what that. See, every now and again, it'd be a little bit of feedback, but you're absolutely right. For them to be able to see that the power in the collaboration. You know what I mean? Just that power in the unity. And then like how you mentioned before about like going outside, like we have so many experts, and don't get me wrong, y'all. I'm not, I just think that we have so many qualified people. I don't care if it's about finances, right? I could go online today and put a post in Black Women Promote and say that, let's say we decide to put on an online event, right? Online virtual summit. We could find all sorts of African American women that are experts in the area of mental health, experts in the area of substance abuse, finances, life coaching, diet and exercise. I mean, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's just that I just think it's just a matter of looking for it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, Jeff, let me ask a question. I mean, I'm asking a question, but this is a provoking thought with what you just said. But then why do you look over me? Not you, but why, sister, why are you passing me by? Right. Why are you rejecting me?
Right.
If I have what you need for your business, for your event, why are you passing over me? And knowing that I'm very well qualified, I've proven myself, I've got the track record, why do you automatically pass me by? You see, and I mentioned that, and I put that out as a question, and I posed that thought, Jacqueline, because this is what makes us ambivalent in interacting and collaborating with each other. And basically what I'm saying is because rejected people reject people. We as a culture have been a rejected people. And when you have been rejected for so long, you then begin to develop a learned behavior of not only being rejected, but you also now you learn how to reject. Rejection becomes a coping mechanism because you've been rejected. Now the way you deal with your hurt is by rejecting another sister. Okay, so if we all share that same thing, that we've all, as a culture, we've been rejected. So why do we want to continue to perpetuate that cycle by rejecting each other? I'm certainly going to look at within my circle first before I would go outside. I mean, there are times that you do have to go outside, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I believe that interacting culturally with other cultures can be a very positive thing. Okay, but I do have issues with going outside of home first before you do that, because it sends off a very strong message to other people that we just don't respect each other. But again, it comes from being a rejected people and learning that learned behavior of rejecting each other. And women, we do it all day long. We just continue to reject each other, which does nothing but continue to build up that level of hurt in each other. And so I've been rejected, you've been rejected. Now I'm going to reject you, you're going to reject me. And then before you know it, and nobody's getting in.
No, right, nobody's getting into it. Ooh, I don't know why that feedback. Maybe it's because I'm moving. But this was something else I wanted to say that you mentioned earlier. Like you said, I think a lot of times we're so busy looking at differences amongst each other, whether it be, oh, I don't like her hair, or she's wearing natural hair, or she's wearing a weave, or she's not carrying a certain, I don't know, a Louis Vuitton bag. I don't know, whatever it is. Or she don't live in a certain neighborhood, or she don't drive a certain car. She's not educated. Just whatever. I think a lot of times we be so busy. And I'm not, again, I'm just talking about within the African American community. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in other communities, but I'm just focused on us right now. I think that we just be so focused on different things that may separate us, whether we married, whether we single, whether we got kids, whether we, we just so focused on all these different things that separate us, that we're so focused on that we can't see any other commonalities,
And you are absolutely correct, Jacqueline. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say, in the words of co-author Mary Harrell,
Okay.
we got to look at the why.
Yeah.
We got to look at the why. We got to look at why do we do that? And so, without giving a Black history lesson, I think that all of us know, okay, that was a toxic dynamic that was consciously integrated into our culture to cause us to look at our differences. Okay, the European culture clearly demonstrated that when they said we'll let the lighter skinned blacks work in the house and the darker skinned blacks work in the field. That created a level of division right there, because then now you have within our culture where there is a sometimes an unspoken hatred between women, which I didn't find out until I moved to the South, by the way. But there is an unspoken hatred between light-skinned Black women and darker-skinned Black women, because many darker-skinned Black women, have felt the rejection and the pain of seeing their sister put in a better position, if you will, and that was deceptive. I don't know about you, Jacqueline, but as much as I would have hated plantation work, I think that if I had to choose between picking some cotton or
right,
being
and being in the house
on a daily basis, okay, I think I would have preferred to be working out in the field. Okay, so I say that because in my talking with my beautiful mahogany chocolate skin sisters, okay, we have talked about those things, and so it was just as hard for the light skinned sister as it was for the dark skinned sister. There is no difference, and so yes, you're absolutely correct that those, focusing in on those differences was a toxic dynamic that was inbred in our culture to keep us separated. We've got to see the why. We've got to see what it was. Did it come from us? No, it didn't come from us. We are only perpetuating that toxicity. And so we've got to begin to say, now, I'm not looking at the differences because that doesn't matter. I'm looking at what do we have in common? Where are we the same? Where can we stand together and say, because of this, that we believe the same thing, we have the same passion. This is where our power comes from. Not what makes us different, not because you drive a better car or live in a better neighborhood or what have you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you're my sister. That's the only thing that matters here.
You know what? I wanted to say, I was just checking out. Forgive me for looking down. It just said reestablishing connection. And I wanted to make sure that we weren't stuck.
Oh, okay.
I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. But okay, so I was gonna say, two things that when you mentioned about the dynamic between the slave in the house and the slave in the field, and the slave in the house or the house slave had that whole extra dynamic because that white woman in that house felt like, there was an extra sort of hatred and a whole nother dynamic that African American woman house slave had to deal with, right?
Absolutely.
So when you
Absolutely.
mentioned it, made me think about that. And the second thing I wanted to say, I think it's very appropriate because we're talking about collaboration. We're in Black History Month, even though
Yes.
although Black History, celebration of Black history and who we are and where we came from, because remember, they didn't steal slaves from Africa. They brought our ancestors here that were doctors, scientists, griots, all sorts of musicians, all the whole plethora of people that they took from Africa. So they didn't steal slaves, right? They brought them here and through a process created, slaves, right? But
Absolutely.
at any rate, this is African history, 365 days of the year. What I guess the leap year, what an extra day, 366 days of the year, whenever it's a leap year, but I think it's very appropriate to bring this up. And we're at the tail end of February, but this is, like you said, a huge component because we are doing all of this in our business and want to have a successful business, but all of these unresolved issues come up and have an impact on who you are as a person, which has an impact on the success of your business. And that
Absolutely.
to understand that the collaboration piece is so important. You are not just a separate entity out there or somebody in a vacuum running a business. You know what I mean? And that to really be able to see the power of collaboration. And I ran into a young lady maybe about a year and a half ago. Some of you may know her. Her name is Stacy Walker. She's a business strategist, and a huge part of her platform deals with collaboration. And that just really, me being from a social work background, and that I just really took off with that. I love the power of collaboration. So that's something I've really incorporated in my business model. And whenever I run into other women, I mean, I reach out to a lot of African American women, and if any, to be able to collaborate. And I would say for the most part, people have been pretty responsive. But you have some people that take it to a whole another level. Like I see you, and I have a couple other young ladies that we take it to a whole nother level. The power, we really understand the power of collaboration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is wise to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
It is not only wise to collaborate, it is necessary to collaborate. In order to have an effective business, you have to embrace the power of collaboration on some level, because you're going to have to deal with other people. What I understand and what I respect about the power of collaboration is that because I don't have all the gifts and all the talents and all the resources, I don't have them. But if I am connected to, such as I am with the I Am a Black Woman Project, if I'm connected to other women who have those gifts, those talents, those resources, those ideas, then where my deficiency is, my sister makes up with her strength. She makes up for my deficiency. And then we both come out strong. And I know we don't have the time now, but that's part of, and we'll have to continue this, but that's part of what I wanted to say is, as a business person, you've got to begin to review, what is your mission? What is the mission of your business? What is the purpose of your business or your service or whatever it is that you're doing? Begin to look back at your mission. What is it? Who's your target audience? And when you look at that, you ask yourself the question, how can what I do, how can it be stronger? How can it be more effective? I mean, as business people, we're always doing this. How can it be stronger? How can it be more effective? How can I make more of an impact? Okay, I understand this. okay, that I am one person. I'm limited in my humanity. So there's only so much of an impact that Carolyn, that I can make. There's only so far that I can go. But when I collaborate with what we call, and I am a Black woman, we call it sister synergy. When I synergize with other women, okay, now, for example, this next week, myself, some other co-authors, we're going to be in Texas. But we have some other co-authors who are going to be in Virginia. Now, if I was just trying to do this project by myself, I can't be in Texas and Virginia at the same time. But the I Am a Black Woman project, we're able to be in 2 and 3 different states all at one time. Why? Because of the power of collaboration. Because when those co-authors go to Virginia, they're saying the same thing that we're saying over here in Texas. And you see, now the project itself can now have a greater impact, okay, because we're not doing it alone, but we're going out and we're able to reach more. We're able to reach more of the masses because of the power of collaboration. If I had not collaborated with these women, this project would not have the impact that it's having, and it wouldn't be able to spread out as quickly and as fastly as it is. So it behooves us, Jacqueline, that we've got to begin to collaborate. But what I will say is this: before we can have effective collaborations, we got to get to the underlying root of some of the issues that come about because of collaboration. We've got to get to some of the underlying issues as to why we don't want to do it. I think most of us know it makes sense, but why don't we do it? And so we've got to start asking those whys. We've got to start talking about those whys. We got to start being truthful. Listen, we as sisters, we need to have this conversation. Well, I want to be honest. I feel very vulnerable when I talk to other women, and this is why I feel vulnerable. Well, I have trust issues. And if we don't begin to dialogue about it, sisters, we'll never heal. And we need to heal. And I want to say this, Jacqueline, that we need to heal quickly. Right. You know why we need to heal quickly? We need to heal quickly because this is the hour of the Black woman. I want to go on nationally saying this is our hour. Okay. When we see Michelle Obama and what she has done, that is just not by happenstance. It is our hour. Divinely, this is our hour, sister. And so we need to do what we're going to do, and we need to do it expeditiously because this is our hour. We are a powerful force in the earth realm, and we are powerful not only in our own right, but when we collectively come together. Okay, that is such a power that cannot be shaken. It cannot be beat. And so I am encouraging. I'm doing what I'm doing because I believe in us. I believe that we can heal through us. I believe that we can prosper through us, not through me, but through us. I believe that our children can heal through us. I believe that our men can heal. By the way, Jacqueline, we have I Am a Black Man that's going to launch in October 2019.
Really?
Yes, we have 10 Black men coming on board. They're going to tell their stories. We're going to dialogue. We're going to talk about the problems that we have between Black men and Black women. And ultimately, we're bringing healing to the whole community. I tell every woman, this I Am a Black Woman project is not just limited to these 12 authors. I'm getting ready to launch the next level. It is for all Black women, not only to tell your story, but to tell your story and to go out and teach other women, because we want this to be perpetual. We're not trying to just stop at this book, sell a couple of books and go on about our business. No, this is a movement. Like we had the civil rights movement, this is a movement. Like we had the Black Panther movement, this is a movement. So what I'm saying is that we need to get on board with the ideology that together, sisters, that we are powerful. It is our time to make an impact in this earth realm. We can do it. I know we can do it, but we can't do it alone. We got to do it together.
Yep. I wanted to say that you're right. We are powerful just alone. But when we join forces, we are unstoppable. Yes. And I like the fact that like you said, it was a book project that's a movement. I mean, I love that. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And just even hearing you talk about, just like imagine it being all across the United States
Yes.
initially, initially, you know. And so, I told you I'm in Michigan, and I know we, talked, but I definitely, look forward to us doing some different collaborations
Oh, we've got
in the future. I can't
about
wait.
it. Think about it, how
Yeah.
powerful that is
Mm-hmm.
if we are all across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Think about from a business perspective, because I know your
Yeah.
show is popular, but think about from a business perspective, think about the products that we can have, the
Mm-hmm.
services that we can have. Think about collaborating and merging together with other businesses, how we impact. You talking about Black Wall Street, you
Mm-hmm.
talking about some Black women that's getting some stuff done
Mm-hmm.
in this
Yeah.
and nobody has to suffer. Everybody can come up. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
always say. And I'm a Black woman. I rise, you rise, we rise.
Mm-hmm. I could just see you now being interviewed by Oprah, and Oprah's like, "Oh, okay. So how did this all come about?" And you'd be like, "You know what I mean?" I could just so see it.
Well, I tell you what, I thank you, and I'm humbled by you saying that. And I tell you what, and I will always, I don't care, I will always come back and do this show. Always.
Oh,
Always.
this was fun, and I knew it from the beginning too. I was like, "This is gonna be a long one," but I want you to tell us, because we are pretty much incorporated everything, your
Yes, yes, yes,
topic, and
yes, yes.
a little bit about how you started, your why, your obstacles. But now just share with them, and then I'll do a wrap up. But
Okay.
share how people can find you. And then I guess you can maybe go back and put a link in. I don't know if you want to put the link to
Okay.
the group, or but tell us a little bit more about that. Just tell them how they can find you, and I guess if there's a particular, tell them about the book,
Okay.
and whatever else you want to share.
Well, so I'll share this. I have my own public Facebook page, but we also have a group called I Am a Black Woman. You can request be a part of that group. Okay, this is where we socialize in that group, and you'll get a lot of information about that. So if you just message me, I'll let you in the group, or you can just come to the group, and I'll invite you in the group. So we have I Am a Black Woman group. The book is set to launch in Atlanta, Georgia, in June of 2019. We purposely scheduled the book launch for during the time of the Juneteenth celebration
I
as Black
love
people.
it.
So that's the reason why we purposely decided to do that. And so we will be doing an entire pre-launch weekend. We'll be going out in the community to some various places. So you sisters will see us out there in Atlanta with our T-shirts on, and just talking and going out in the streets and talking to people. So we'll put that up on there. We do have a website, and I'll make sure I post that information. I'll have somebody from I Am a Black Woman to post that information. We will have pre-launch information up, so you guys can certainly help us in our efforts, okay, to get this book on way. So with that launch, and then in October we have an I Am a Black Man motorcycle ride that's going to be coming up. So we're going to see 10 Black men on motorcycles riding in the city of Atlanta. Right before they launch their book. And so that's going to be powerful. So I'll put the information up about that. If anybody wants to email me personally, you can do that at lowercase letter dr.carolyn21@yahoo.com. And I'll make sure I have somebody from one of the departments to post that information as well. Message me, connect with me. I'm a very approachable person. Please message me. Jacqueline, we're starting in March, the I Am a Black Woman 2, going to the next level, okay? That's going to be a really powerful piece, because not only is it going to be a book, but it's also, every co-author will be developing their teaching platform for that. So not only do you write and have your book, but you'll also be a teacher and develop your own group that you'll take for a whole year, so you can monitor their progress as a co-author and as a mentor. So I'm looking for powerful women. We will be interviewing for those starting now. So you just message me and I'll give you the information for that. So
I like that.
Because let me say this quickly, because what we wanted to do is not just tell the story, but we want to now help the sisters with the process, as co-author Mary always talks about. We want to help you with the process. We want to take you for 90 days, 6 months. Each co-author that contributes their story will take a group of women and carry you through on their platform, carry you through a 90-day period, a 6-month period, watch your progress, help you grow, whether that's in business, whether that's emotionally, as a life coach. So I'm looking for co-authors that are business people that want to teach and groom and mentor other business people. I'm looking for life coaches, people that want to help people in particular areas of their life. We're looking for co-authors that have just a story, but not only you just have a story. With this one, we want you to have a story, but we want you to have a teaching platform. We want you to be able to develop a portion of your story into a step-by-step process that you can pull out of that book and begin to teach a group of women and take them to the next level so that they can begin to prosper, so that this begins to go on and on and on, and it's just never ending. And then you imagine all those beautiful sisters, all of us coming together and having a great big conference somewhere in the world and talking about how we started out, what our progress is looking like, the businesses that we have bought, the properties that we have bought, and then just beginning to share that, network with that, and just infusing each other with our strength, power, and love.
Yep, this sounds wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So let me go ahead and do a wrap up. So again, everyone, because I don't know, this is acting kind of funny now. I'm not sure about this connection. I hope you guys can still hear us okay. So a wrap up. Thank you, ladies, again for joining us for A Queen's Roundtable Show, episode 13. This happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month. My name is Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. I am a confidence and success coach, and I work specifically with African American women that have coaching and or consulting businesses. My overall aim is to help women create unshakable confidence, resulting in increased productivity in their business, leading to increased profitability in their coaching and or consulting business. So if you are interested in being a guest, please, I always tell people to email me, or you can email me, send me a message, or click on the link that says apply. And we can, you can get yourself scheduled, and we'll talk about it and go from there. And the purpose of this show is to be able to help women, help. I knew I was going to start getting a call. Coaches and or consultants to be able to increase their confidence, to be able to be a better business owner, be a better person, resulting in being a better business owner, right? Awesome. So, and my brother is calling because he has my son. So, so that is what I'd like to say. Please join us again every second and fourth Sunday of the month. I'd like to thank Dr. Carolyn Stevens for coming today, and look for more collaborations in the future.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Jacqueline. I certainly do appreciate it. And thank you for all of you beautiful sisters that have tuned in today to watch this broadcast. I'm very grateful for you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, ladies. Everyone enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.